Hi there. Some of you have been wondering, what does it really cost to take off on a 5-week solo road trip? Not just financially, but also the trade-offs that come with stepping away from your regular life. Today, I'm going to break it all down. The miles I drove, what I spent on gas and food and lodging, and I'm sharing why I'd absolutely do it again and probably will. I was on the road for 35 days, and I covered about 6,300 miles in total. I started in North Carolina at home, and I made my way up to Maryland for a friend's wedding, and then from there I went through 16 other states before returning home, staying in a mix of campgrounds, hotel rooms, and lots of other places in between. I didn't have a strict itinerary, but I did have a general plan to drive west, explore some natural parks, and give myself space to think and reset. My original goal was to cover a lot more ground. I had planned to head north to the Great Lakes and then head west from there, and I had a goal of 8,000 miles. I changed the plan to head north first before I even left home because the weather was forecasted to still be pretty cold up there in mid-April, but I had planned on swinging back through the Great Lakes region on the way home. But Wanda, my 2008 Honda Odyssey, was telling me that she was tired. While I was in Minnesota on the way back east and north, I decided to check the oil, and the dipstick was completely dry. It had only been about 4,000 miles since my last oil change at that point, which was right before I left, and I had a full gasket overhaul last year, so I didn't think it was leaking. My local mechanic just confirmed that there was no leaks and that Wanda is burning oil. I also remembered a big puff of smoke that I saw. I think it was somewhere in Utah while climbing a kind of steep grade, and with the transmission straining slightly in the mountains, I knew that I needed to slow down for her sake and mine. So I cut back on the miles at the end and took more rest days and adjusted my route. And while it wasn't originally what I had planned, it was exactly what I needed. Is Wanda up for another cross-country adventure? I'm not sure yet. Not in her current state. A high-mileage Honda that's burning oil can keep going for a long time with some babying and keeping a check on everything, but I'll need to address that before my next big trip, if I do. With her being 17 years old and having over 210,000 miles now, I'll have to weigh the pros and cons of fixing the issue, which is internal and will be costly. And maybe I'll do a video about all the things that I've done to Wanda and all the money that I have invested in Wanda. And I don't know that it's worth putting more money in Wanda, given her actual value, but it may be worth it to me. I don't know. Update on that later. So now let's talk about the financial cost of the trip, including some numbers. I know that some of you have been wanting this. Here's roughly what I spent over the course of the trip. I'm going to round these off to the nearest dollar. On gas, I spent $704. That's total, with gas prices averaging about $2.80 per gallon and my van getting around 25 miles per gallon. That's roughly 11.2 cents per mile, and that's not too shabby. I used the Upside app, which I'll post my referral link in the description, and I used the Love's truck stop. You know, most of you are familiar with Love's. It's a chain of truck stops. I used that app to get 10 cents off per gallon at Love's when I wasn't near an Upside listed gas station. And obviously gas was more expensive in some places and less in others. So lodging, I paid for 2 hotel nights, which came out to $100 total. I used credit card points for one of the hotel stays, which helped a lot, and the other one was $100. I also stayed at 3 paid campgrounds for a total of 4 nights, and that was $140. And food. Between groceries, snacks, the occasional meal out, I spent about $778 on food. More than I should have, more than I planned, and I could do better. It's not too bad, though, when you figure that comes out to $22.23 a day. I ate out of my van refrigerator a lot of the time, and I tried to eat healthy most of the time, but I did have some meals out, especially early on, and then I kind of slacked off on it towards the end. Attractions and activities, and this includes entry fees to parks, museums, and other stops, plus a few small souvenirs. And this is going to also include the $80 for my America the Beautiful Pass, which I picked up near the beginning of the trip in Shenandoah National Park, Virginia. This category, I spent $173. I definitely got my money's worth with the America the Beautiful Pass. I used it to get into a lot of national parks, which would have otherwise cost me $30 a pop. Miscellaneous. This is going to include the oil top-offs in Minnesota, laundry and showers, and renewing my AAA membership before I left. It doesn't include any gear because I had all of that already. Gear could be a full video all its own. So let me know in the comments if you're interested in a video with all of my gear. Anyway, miscellaneous, $54. All in, my total cost for this 5-week road trip was roughly $1,949. Where else can you take a month-long vacation for less than $2,000? I did better than I thought I would, and I did better than I thought I had when I started totaling things up. That is less than $60 per day that I spent on everything on this road trip. So when I pulled into my driveway, the first thing I noticed was my garden. You see my chicken back there. There were little tomatoes all over the plants. Cucumbers were climbing and curling. The tomato plants were laying all over the place. They had grown feet in the month that I had been gone. And the zinnias that I had planted last year had reseeded themselves and were popping up in the most surprising places, like little welcome home gifts. I have dug up some of them and relocated them. But I spent a whole day pruning, tying up plants, and pulling weeds in almost 90-degree heat. My muscles ached at the end of the day, but it felt so good. It's been a long time since I felt that kind of energy, like I wanted to work hard outside all day. And my body actually had the strength to do it. My adult kids were home taking care of everything and the dogs while I was gone, so I really didn't have much else to do but besides getting the garden tidied up. And if I had been still working my corporate job, I would have come home to 10,000 emails, and I would have been stressed out, and I would have still been trying to catch up. I'm so glad that I didn't have to worry about that. So grateful. So, was it worth it? Totally. This trip wasn't dirt cheap, but it was pretty affordable, and it didn't go exactly as planned, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. I didn't get to see every place that I set out to see, but I got exactly what I needed. Time, space, perspective, and a reminder that it's okay to slow down. This fall, I'll be starting a new job as a nursing instructor, and I'll be helping a new group of nursing students start their careers. I'm really, really looking forward to it. But one of the best parts about that is that I'll have summers off if I want them. I can pick up work if I want to during the summer, but that means that I can do this again every year if I want to. In the meantime, I may take some shorter trips this summer, like the Great Smoky Mountains is on my list. I did that last year, and it's really nice to escape to the mountains during the midst of the summer heat in July. And it's not that far away. And it's just enough to keep my wanderlust fed while I decide what's next for Wanda and lay low this summer and stay close to home. And I'll be deciding whether to fix Wanda or replace her before next summer and the next big trip. So this trip did come with a price tag financially. Physically, it took me a few days to recover, and logistically, but some investments don't just buy you a few nights away. What, Fancy? Come here. You want to get on the camera? So, this is Fancy. She wanted to get on the video. She's named, a lot of my chickens are named after songs. They have girl song names. They're named after songs with girl names in the title. And I have a Jolene. And then Fancy is the newest to the bunch. She was a single chicken left over from a friend who the rest of her flock had gotten picked off by a predator. And Fancy was all alone and lonely. So I brought her to my house and integrated her into my flock. And she's so sweet. And she lays a great big brown egg every single day. And she likes to cuddle. Say hello, Fancy. So I was saying, the trip had a price tag. And it was a good investment. And some investments don't just buy you a few nights away. They buy you clarity, resilience, and a reminder that you're still allowed to change even if you're in your 50s. For under $2,000, I didn't just see the country. I reconnected with myself. And I remembered what matters. And I proved to myself that I'm still willing to go when something's calling to me. So let me ask you, what would make a trip like this worth it to you? Would you go, even if it wasn't perfect? Even if it came with some discomfort? Let me know in the comments. And if you've been waiting for a sign to hit the road, this might be it. Start where you are. Use what you have. You might just come back with more than you ever expected. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.